Hi everyone, Steve from the Audiophiles. Welcome to another amazing episode. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Click on that button, it helps me out a ton. Thank you for all your support. Lots more interviews, like I keep saying, lots more special guests coming up. And today, another fun one. This is I think it's gonna be like a weekly Mobile Fidelity Analogue Productions roundtable discussion with obviously guests. Today I've got David Bianco. He was my inaugural guest on my first inaugural episode. We talked today about the upcoming Allan Parsons box, some of our pure analog plays, albums that we like, and other news that is going on in the vinyl community. And so, guys, thank you so much again. And if you haven't, check out the Hi-Fi Center here in downtown Vancouver, 433 Carroll. Right in the heart of Gastown, Vancouver. All of your high-end gear, incredible stuff here, guys. Check out our website, put it up there, the Hi-Fi Center, downtown Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Stop by if you're ever around. Give you some great tour of some of the listening rooms. Again, we'll see you on the other side of the Audiophiles. Welcome to the Audiophiles for another weekly MOFI Analogue Productions roundtable and news and discussion. And it's only going to be two of us today. So maybe David from the sound of Safe and Sound, Texas. It's going to be a roundtable today, not a, I don't know, round table, square table, rectangle table, some sort of table to discuss stuff today.
That's for sure.
Yeah, maybe. So welcome.
Stereo.
Thank you. Like a few weeks ago, you were on for our inaugural roundtable. You're back again by popular demand. Things are going great in your world there down in Texas. Your channel's growing. And I think you should start telling the viewers about your exciting trip that you made. I guess it was this week, right?
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Yeah. And thank you to your channel, and been a great help to me in the background, helping me get started. So I appreciate that. And
no problem.
Yeah. So actually I went to Acoustic Sounds / Analogue Production / QRP in Salina, Kansas this week had time there on Tuesday. So I drove up from Dallas, 7-hour drive on Monday, got in there fresh, and met a guy who's over their media and communications, Dave Clouston. And because Chad hadn't got there yet, because he had some other things he was doing. Of course, he's a busy guy. And so he took me around and went through the offices, went through some of the awesome memorabilia they have on the walls.
Oh, wow.
You can imagine. I'm going to have a video of all that as well. Went through the vinyl vault, the sales area of the vinyl vault. And later I actually went through Chad's personal vinyl vault in a fireproof room. So just talk about mouth-watering, I guess. So, and then in the afternoon, then after getting the factory tour with Dave and going through, spent a lot of time in the plating department, which sounds funny, but I mean, my background's in manufacturing. I spent a lot of time, we did plating, heat treating. So I know a lot of those processes. So I was like a little geeky with the guys, and they're like, man, my boss doesn't even ask me these questions. Jeez. Yeah. It was crazy. But, the thing I was going to do, Steve, is, I did a video on them because of their video about manufacturing and their processes and what they do, because, they're like baking the cake, right? They're putting it, they got the recipe, they got to make the cake, and you get the cake and you pay a lot of money for the cake. So I wanted to look, into the kitchen a bit and see what was going on. And that's what I'm going to be sharing on my channel. I spent about an hour and a half on camera with Chad. And I'm going to have those videos in some like 20-minute segments in parts, because they're kind of topical. So they kind of work in pieces. Otherwise, it's it's long, but and I think you'll find it pretty interesting, because I tried to ask questions that some of my subscribers and viewers were asking of me to ask, and some things that I wondered. So maybe not quite the we recently saw a written Q&A with MOFI that was kind of sterile a bit, I think, and it was preloaded. I think you'll find some interesting questions that I asked that, one that I asked at the very end. I said, I'm going to wait till the end, because if he's going to kick me out, I'll be done at that point. But I mean, you talk about a great human being and a guy who is there for all the right reasons. Man, it's just unbelievable. So yeah, I appreciate it. I think either tonight or tomorrow I'll be putting up my first video, and then I'll have a series of them over the next week to 10 days from this visit, because there's a lot, and I wanted to give you guys, kind of pull back the kimono a bit and give you guys some visibility of what goes on there. And I think it's just really a testament, middle America, right? Middle America, somebody doing it themselves, trying to control as many processes as he can. He's growing, he's doing some things to grow, and I'm not even going to mention what they are because he didn't say I could, but I know he's growing the business. And I don't just mean, the fact that he wants to sell more. Of course, everybody wants to sell more, but he wants to produce more. He wants to provide more titles for his customers. He wants to provide faster turnaround times. He wants to do what we want him to do, really. So it was great, but thanks for asking.
Sounds like you had a great trip. I thought you were going to take the Sound of Safe and Sound Texas private jet there, but you drove.
Yeah, I think I have one that's called a Kia Sorento, actually.
Oh, guess you need more viewers to get that private jet fueled up, but that's cool. So that's good. So, Salina, Canada, it's like, what's the population down there? Like, what are they at?
I don't know, but just from guesstimation, I'd say 60 to 70,000, maybe.
Plus you, so 70,001. So
right,
added it. That's excellent.
But it's it's at the crossroads of two major interstates, 135 and 70 there, and so it's a real strategic spot for shipping. I mean, I saw people get their product. They shipped out Monday. They shipped out, I think, about 2,200 units of Kind of Blue, which was a new record, because they had prepped a lot. And they being at that center, they can get stuff over to Colorado, to Nevada, and that in 2 days, over to Chicago, to Columbus, to Pittsburgh, in 2 days. And so it's kind of like always thinking ahead, lower overhead, to put money back in the business, just really the small things. Chad's always thinking of the small things, and they add up.
So it sounds like you were very impressed with your tour and what you saw of the facility there.
I was, and they're small, and they, they have some operational things that I see differently because I worked in bigger companies, you know what I mean? And that, and so, maybe a few things that I talked to Chad about. I said, hey, you might consider X, might consider Y, and he's, and, so, I would love to help them help themselves, in the sense that I know that they're trying to do all the right things, and I just want them to help get better, just like anybody would want them to help get better. And Chad says, hey, I'm learning every day, so it's there's not really any arrogance there. It's really pride. There's a lot of pride. They're very proud of what they do.
Well, I think as humans too, we have to learn every day. It sounds like he's doing the right thing and learning from the mistakes you made from the day before and making it better. And growing the product, growing his business. And I know lots of consumers are happy with Analogue Productions or, quality pressings. Yeah. And we're the UHQR label. The latest Miles 45 RPM. Did you grab a copy of that while you were there?
No, I didn't grab one. I'm following the traditional process like anybody else. Sorry.
Okay.
I did see plenty of them. I can tell you that, getting boxed up.
Yeah. We're like, oh, this is cool. I think their pressing was at 20 or 25,000. I can't remember the exact number of that. 25,000. Yes. I'm sure those will go. As a Canadian, and I know we've talked about this before, and as any international customer other than an American, it sucks for us. If you live in Australia, Canada. That box, I have the 33, and the 45 is after after exchange and duty and shipping, we're talking for that box for one, it's like $230 Canadian. Yeah. So I got to be careful, because I don't want to get divorced.
You want to stay married, right?
Yeah, my wife would kill me. It's like, you got to be careful with the equipment that you buy and stuff.
What's the net? The net improvement. There is an improvement, I'm sure, and absolutely. One of the improvements is your exercise program, getting up from your couch to change it, but.
That could be good for some of our viewers, though, getting up from the couch every 7 or 8 minutes. That's not bad. Yeah.
But I did, sitting in Chad's office, actually sat and where he ABs things right in his chair. And, nothing gets out of that place unless it's past the Chad test. The engineers can love it, and everybody can love it. And, his mother-in-law can love it. But at the end of the day, if Chad sits there and says, That's not as good because he ABs against the best, a lot of promo copies of OGs and stuff like that, like a Led Zepp 2 he showed me. You know, I'm just saying he gets the cream of what is the best to compare it to.
Yeah, and he's lucky too, right? Because he has a pretty decent collection himself.
Yeah,
so he's able to pull that and compare,
he
right?
Does.
So
he does, but that's I look at that and I say, yeah, you could say, oh, he's got his toys, but that's an investment in his business because he's taking what he already knows he thinks is the best that can be there, and he's trying to beat it. So when you're paying whatever you're paying, you know, go to try to find an OG promo of Led Zeppelin 2, right? Yeah, crazy. So he's, you know, he's in there, he's fighting for you, for me. I mean, to give you that better sound even than that. So to me, man, that just, you know, that the depth of that is, it's not just a guy peeling off records. Because I can tell you at the end of the day, if one comes off and he doesn't like it, it's not going to go out. I mean, until he can, you know, whether it means new lacquers or whatever it means, he's just not going to compromise.
And that's good for the customers as well. I mean, as an
absolutely.
audiophile collector, I mean, we're always looking for the best, and that's what we're paying for as well. So I mean, that's really good to know. Yep. Well, it sounds like I'm excited to see those different videos over the next little while. You know, you release them tomorrow. I'm excited to see I guess the shop tour as well. And you get a chance. Did you get a chance to video Chad? You got some interview stuff with Chad?
I sat down for about an hour and a half with him on camera. Yep.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get any, they don't allow you to film in the production area of them for obvious reasons,
right?
Because they are putting some things together and test pressings for things that aren't out yet or announced. But I did get some video in the plating area and you know, getting the master ready, you know, to get put on the press, that kind of thing. Found out some interesting things about their quality threshold, I'll call it. You know, they were some of the stuff I saw that they had rejected. I thought about it and I thought, geez, would I reject that? And they're like, yeah, it wouldn't affect the sound or anything, but we know it's there and it's not going to go out like that.
So where did you see the Steely Dan UHQRs hiding when you were there?
Who?
The Steely Dan UHQRs. Yeah.
Never heard of her. Who's she?
You know, because I mean, obviously we know what's happened with their website. They announced it and it sort of disappeared. Did they sort of hide them on you when you got there? You didn't see them, did you?
There was a mass scramble when I arrived. I'm not sure what was going on at the time.
Interesting. Didn't see Asia or anything like that. Nothing.
No China, no Japan. No, I didn't see anything.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. So other news, that's going to be fun. So we'll check out the Sound of Safe and Sound Texas. David Bianco. Looking forward to that in the next coming days. Other news, I got an email from Cooking Vinyl. It's a label out of London. They're doing the Allan Parsons Project, the complete album collection, the vinyl box set. And I learned today or yesterday that it's mastered by Miles Showell. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Showell. But yeah, Miles mastered that. It was all flat transfers from the best sources, they say here, available. All flat digital transfers from the best possible sources. So I'd be curious to compare the sound of those albums to some of the audiophile pressings that are out there right now. Are you a big Parsons fan?
Huge.
Okay. And so would you buy this box set?
Probably the thing is, I don't know who they are. I was just looking them up, Cooking Vinyl, because I don't know if that's an adjective or a noun at this point. Yeah. If they're actually putting the vinyl in an oven, I would be a little concerned. But they're out of the UK. They're out of the UK though, right?
They are, yeah. Fellow, yeah. So I got an email yesterday from Greg Snyder, and I'll say hi to Greg if I pronounced your name correctly. He said, "Hey, you know, if you can talk about this box set, I'd be grateful." So here we are talking about a little bit. I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just know that. I mean, a lot of my viewers are big Parsons fans, and this box set's coming out. I think it's a pre-order. It's limited amounts, and it's sometime in the fall to winter time it will be coming out.
Yeah, actually, Chad showed me a couple of Parsons boxes in his vinyl vault I'd never seen before.
Oh, wow.
But I will tell you one thing, and I know this firsthand because a guy who is his guitarist on tour is the brother-in-law of a good friend of mine from high school. So, and I was supposed to meet her in Nashville and see the band back in March of 2020, but that got canceled and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, so Jeff Kilgore's her brother-in-law, and he plays guitar with Allan. And Allan would not release anything to anybody until he,
Let me just add to that. So when Greg sent me this little press release, he sent a little blurb that Miles Showell had done, and that's what he said, that Allan had to basically approve every single file before he could go and master it. So there you go.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Allan is extremely, and the protective, I don't mean in a bad way. I just mean he's like a Chad kind of person. I mean, he's going to do the right thing. It's his name and his product. So that in and of itself to me says a lot about this company.
Interesting. Yeah, there you go. So that's the latest there. So check that out. The Allan Parsons Project, the complete album collection, vinyl box set, mastered by Miles Showell.
Yep. Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be cool. And then other news, I mean, we got some Analogue Productions news. Mobile Fidelities came out with some new, I guess not, some more pressings today. I got an email this morning. And one that was cool, Yaz, not sure if you're into Yaz, but upstairs at Eric's, it's a silver label. It's been repressed as of today, and it's an all analog silver label. So
I saw it in my database.
You saw that, yes. Oh, did you update it?
Yeah, I've got it updated. Yep, I just found it. Was that today or yesterday? I can't remember.
I think it was today.
Okay.
So it was an analog copy. So it didn't say analog master, which some of the other ones did, because it is a silver label. So analog copy to the analog board, cut from
some generation of tape.
Yeah, who knows? Interesting, huh? But anyways, that was an analog copy, which I have that. I'm not a huge Yaz fan, anyways.
No, I'm not either.
Yeah. No, but I have it. Might play it again soon. See how it sounds. Any other news you want to discuss here before we get into some other fun things?
I don't know. I think the whole thing, the more that I've talked to people closer in the industry and things, there's just a buzz about this whole transparency and information thing. And, it reminded me, and I mentioned this on an earlier video of mine, and I'm going to do something very specific about it on my channel. And that is that, there's think of let's say a 2-track master tape, a stereo tape. Let's say it's the master, the one, and that is the product. And that's what's going to be utilized for, the mastering and the pressing side. And that's on one side of the process. And then before that, you have all of the soundboard and the going into mixing and all the engineering that goes into how it gets to that 2-track tape, right? Well, there's digital components potentially on that end of the chain. There's 2 chains here. It's not just a mastering chain. There's also a recording/mixing chain. And I think, because now when you start looking at some of the stuff Chad's had, where he's had issues with it regarding, let's say, the Beach Boys, some of that stuff was mixed with high-res digital, right? Wasn't mastered that way, but it was mixed. So how big is your chain? How far are you looking at the whole chain? We've been focusing a lot on the mastering chain, but there's more to it than that.
Well, I know with Mobile Fidelity, and I mean, I've called for the, more transparency from the record labels for a while now. So, I mean, they have come out with those, exactly what I wanted them to see as well, the actual mastering transparency. I mean, they have it now. When you buy a new Mobile Fidelity album, it's right on. I don't even call it a hype sticker, mastering transparency sticker now is what I'm calling it. So I don't know if you've got a new one lately.
I've seen it.
Video,
I haven't.
I did a video the other day. So I did I showed it on the screen as well. So it shows you basically, if it's from the master tapes right to the analog board, then cut from there. So I find that interesting as well, to see if the other labels will follow suit. Speakers,
but it's half
corners.
the chain. But it's half the chain. And what I want, the reason I brought it up is go and look at Pet Sounds on Analogue Productions. Go look at their stereo, their mono, their 45. Look at the specificity of down to saying, it went to a high-res 9624 and by whom in mixing, and so my point is Chad's looking at the whole chain. He's looking at the whole thing, as much information as he can get you. He's going up. Now you could say he's only responsible for, the lacquer on, right? He mastering engineer, he gets and selects and they do it, but he's looking at how did it get to there? So that's over and above.
So do you think that will be something that will be on the website for album that he reissues eventually, the actual both sides of the chain now? Is that something that's talked about?
He already has some of that information on there and has had that. And I guess that's my point. Where there is an introduction of non-analog anything, he has overtly said what piece of the puzzle it was. Okay. And that's why, and on my video I'm going to put out has examples I'm going to give you. I just gave you one was the Beach Boys. So my point is, this isn't a new thing. You know,
Yeah.
he said, I'm Analogue Productions for reasons. I want to be all analog. There are times when, for reasons outside of my control, we have put out something that had something that wasn't, but we made a decision based on customer demand and based on how it sounded, that in spite of that. But he said, I always put it there. So before you click add to order or pre-order, it's there. So if you bother to read it, and it's in bold font at the beginning of the text, it's not buried into some wordy sentences or paragraphs, and it's right there boldly in separate sentences, so it jumps out at you. And so I'm just saying that's a, really he's kind of had that philosophy all along. So it just kind of bolsters the point of, if you're serious about this, you already know that, and you're already open about it.
That leads me to Speaker's Corner behind me. You see Mr. Lou Reed there, great album, Speaker's Corner, all analog. They came out yesterday. I did a little video on it as well, because I guess obviously the Washington Post article and everything that's been going on with DSD, and we know this. They came out and basically said, out of our 700 titles, only one was a digital source, and that was Allan Parsons' Eye in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
But they basically use that digital source, which is interesting because they both have a digital source and a digital tape, master tape, and an analog master tape. And we know that MOFI used the analog tape. Speaker's Corner used the digital tape. They then mastered it on an analog board, and then actually basically put it back on tape and cut it from tape from there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the only one.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've told you this, but I've been in touch with Speaker Corners for about 4 weeks now.
Yeah.
And kind of on the side of this, there's an album that they say, submit an album that you might like to see released on our label.
Okay.
And I did that. Well, I got an email from an internal person within 12 hours of me putting that request in. And this person and I have been emailing backwards. And I got hold of Ted Jensen at Sterling Sound because he mastered Carly Simon's Coming Around Again.
It's a good album.
Interesting story. So I told this to Chad yesterday, the day before. And he goes, that won't, he said that there's not going to be demand for that. No Secrets. And I said, yeah, well, they already did that one. I said, I don't know. That album was pretty popular. He said, no. So I looked it up yesterday. The difference in sales between No Secrets and that album was only 44,000.
Come on.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was. That's the difference. I went and looked it up because her greatest hits was 3.5 million. No Secrets was like 1 million, I don't know, 6, and this one was like 1.5 million or
oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, I knew it was big at the time, and it wasn't big. It was when CDs were first coming out and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew it was popular, and I'll be honest, the gap is smaller than I thought, but still, but I'm in touch with that, and Ted told me get hold of Frank Filippetti, who's the engineer. He said, I'm almost positive it's all analog, but get hold of Frank to find out for positive. And I haven't been able to get through to Frank yet, but Speaker's Corner, I think Arista's part of Sony now, so God knows what you're going to get.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So I want to move on. We part of it today, we wanted to pick some of our favorite audiophile albums to show the viewers, the reasons why you like them. I will let you start. You go for your first one, and then after yours, I will go to myself, and then we'll go back and forth. And I will see what we pick. Hopefully, we don't duplicate.
Cool. Yeah. So let me first give you my definition of what I thought of when I looked for these. Okay, audiophile. So to me, what are the best sounding albums that I have, or the ones that have blown me away the most? Whether they're truly categorized as an audiophile label or they're not categorized as an audiophile label, whether they're analog, whether they're digital. What did my ears tell me? Okay, so let me start with that, because if you're going to go in the comments and say X, Y, and Z doesn't classify as that, I'm going to tell you my definition already told you that's not what I'm doing. And the reason I'm not doing that, honestly, guys, is this. I could go pull a MOFI Asia, and I could go pull all the shit you already know and go, oh yeah, well, those are my, so I could do that. I got some Analogue Production stuff behind me. The Doors LA Woman is awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. Absolutely. So I'm trying to pick a few different things, and I'll tell you why. So here's the one that's probably going to be the most ironic.
Eagles. There you go.
Eagles, first album, One Step. Now, Why? Okay, we know it's got a DSD. Okay, we know all that. All right, past that. So here's the thing. I bought that album originally literally when it came out. I have the OG of it. I've played it for years. I know what it sounds like inside and out. Okay, so my memory, I have what I call very high muscle memory on that song. When I played this, I heard things distinctly drawn out and sounds and interpretations of the music and even the backing vocals that I never heard before. Didn't really know they were kind of there. They were too muffled or blended in. So that's why for me, I pick it, because it is now a standout. It was that much of a standout to me. And that's why I picked it. And, you know, if you can say, hey, I'm not going to buy that, or okay, fine. I get it, whatever. But for me, for my ears, that, you know, if that's one of your favorite albums and you really love it, you will be blown away. Because I don't have a $20,000 hi-fi system. I got about a $2,000 hi-fi system, $3,000. So it sounds great on that.
Okay. Mine, as a former Canadian, you'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
Hey. You probably know the movie Strange Brew by the McKenzie brothers too.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Classic Canadiana.
SCTV. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
This is an A&M Audiophile, Supertramp's Crime of the Century. Now, I was just playing it behind me. You can see the system I'm on. This is a Pure Fidelity turntable. Guys, I mean, this is the album to test your gear on if you have the proper, setup as well. This is half speed mastered. Now, on these A&M Audiophile recordings, this is a Canadian audiophile. I call it sort of the MOFI, Canadian MOFI. Yeah, they were. It was pressed on JVC Super Vinyl as well. So it's the same Super Vinyl that's used in the 70s and 80s mobile fidelity vinyl records as well. So they sound great, very, very, very quiet. You get a good copy as well, and they're still cheap, relatively cheap anyways. So it says on the back it's half speed mastered. And they say it's from the original master tapes. Cutting to the master from the original stereo tapes is performed at half speed. So I know I've read other places it might not be from the originals. I don't. Again, we're going baback to the 70s.
But those came out then, so the chances are much higher that that's what they had. Think about it. Yeah.
So, and it sounds great. And I mean, these are the Audiophile series of Canada. I mean, it's one of these ones that you can still pick up relatively cheap considering, especially here in Vancouver. I mean, there's still lots. I mean, I can go into a local record store and find these guys still. They're still in the bins.
I might have a list for you.
There you go.
Yeah, those are, and I've got several of those, and they've got some Supertramp ones that like Crisis What Crisis, and they came out with some that MOFI didn't come out with. Like that one MOFI actually came out with as well.
Don't rain on my parade. I got more.
I'm sorry.
Your turn.
Okay, this is going to be the one maybe that's controversial. I say, like, huh?
Okay, viewers, I want you to really just beat on them and beat on them in the comments. I want to get some entertainment.
Yeah, beat on me. Then buy it and argue with me. That's my challenge. If you're going to mouth it, you got to own it. Okay. So one of my favorite bands is Chicago.
Yep.
Grew up near Chicago. Love the.
By the way, they were just in Vancouver this week.
Were they with anybody or just by themselves?
We have this big fair called the Peony Fair every year, and they were part of the fair.
Cool.
They're on the fairgrounds doing their show. I didn't go, but yeah. Yep.
12 years ago here in Dallas, they were here playing together on stage with Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh, nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So a lot of their first 4 albums were multi-disc albums, the only band ever. Okay. So the first 3 were double albums. And so none of them sounded great, off OGs and everything. They always felt a little like there was a blanket over the mics and things. So the second album I like, and the first a lot. And so this is a Steve Wilson remix.
Steve Wilson
remix of Chicago 2. Okay. So this is like a $40 album when it came out, if you can find it. Okay.
And it's going to have a digital step to it, so everyone knows.
It probably does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I can tell you, it's like night and day. I mean, it's a bigger gap than even the Eagles was. I mean, this is because it's a remix, not just a remaster. So that means taking the actual each channel and reblending the music. and you're going to hear things you've never heard. The drums of Danny Seraphin are just huge, and it is great. And the quasi one with that, of course, is the MOFI first one is fabulous too. So if you love the first two albums, get the Steve Wilson remix for 2, try to find it, and then of course the MOFI, I think, for 1.
Your MOFI album looks like it's in incredible shape.
Yeah, it's round. Oh, no, condition you meant. Okay, sorry.
I when I said that, I almost knew you were going to say that. That's so funny. Okay. Oh my gosh. So here's mine. I'm keeping with Canadiana today, and I'm also keeping with the Audiophile series, and I'm keeping with the same band because I really like the Audiophile series by A&M. And you're going to rain on my parade just before this, and I'm going to start by saying, even in the quietest moments, this is the Audiophile series. Yeah, now there's two different. This is the gold stamp one, and they do have. Just let me grab it again.
The rim, the gold rim, and the gold stamp.
The gold rim. So the difference is this is not gatefold, whereas this one's gatefold. But they didn't make this one just gold rimmed. They just made it basically what you see here, the Audiophile series, in a gatefold, and then of course they have the JVC super vinyl there. So this is even in the quietest moments. What is interesting about this is completely 100% a mobile fidelity record, and you're going to ask me why. Just ask me why. Ask me why, David.
Why?
Because none other than Stan Ricker Half-Speed mastered this album for A&M for the Canadian audiophile market. So this is basically a mobile fidelity pressing, even though it doesn't have any mobile fidelity, anything that says mobile fidelity on it, and it sounds incredible. I think if I was to probably my favorite album, this is probably my favorite Supertramp studio album. This one right here.
Wonderful. I've got that one. It's great.
I know you do.
That's fabulous.
Go for it. Your turn.
That's good. All right. Well, I guess everybody has to have a Pink Floyd album, but mine is the EMI Pro Use series, Toshiba Pro Use series.
I have heard of that one, of course.
And it is phenomenal. And I have the MOFI, and I have a UK A2 B3, I think.
You do,
So, but this one I just think is just a tweak better. And they're not cheap, but they're not outrageous either.
What are they running for on retail?
$200 to $400, depending on, the day of the week and the condition or whatever.
I have the 30th anniversary mastered by Doug Sachs, Kevin Gray.
I want that one.
Yeah. I love it.
I can't compare it, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah. And that was too from the master tapes, because as you probably know, I friends with Kevin Gray and interviewed him, and that's what he said as well. And I think what he said, he was part of a team with Doug Sachs, 4 or 5 engineers that were basically mastering that album. And what's interesting, that was cut on Doug Sachs's system that Chad now owns.
Yeah, I saw it. I touched
so that's it. Yeah, you touched the system that 30th anniversary Floyd album was cut on.
Yeah, there's actually a lathe there too from Doug.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Chad just had 2 more Ampexes coming in, big reel systems. He's got like 8 or 10. I guess he's gonna have 12 now. So
wow. You don't have a tape machine, do you? You're not into that?
No.
Yeah. I was looking at that, but it's just a budget thing. Going back to make sure if your wife is happy life, happy wife type of thing, like happy wife, happy life. You got to be careful with some of the stuff. You can't go overboard with your equipment and your records, especially here in Canada. It gets pricey, man. I'll tell you. You got to be careful.
No, it is, and but I've been collecting for a lot of years. So
is it my turn or is it your turn? I've lost my.
Have you done 3? Have you done 3?
No, I've done 2.
I've done 3.
Okay, my turn.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
So, like I was telling everyone, I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it Supertramp. I'm keeping it Audiophile series, Canadian A&M. Now, this was originally mastered by Bernie Grundman, of course. He did not half-speed. This is a half-speed master of Supertramp's Paris, the live album. This is probably one of my, and I know you're not a live concert guy, I know that, but this is one of my favorite live albums. I just love it. It captured sort of the spirit of Supertramp back in 1980, and it wasn't too much long after that they broke up. I think it was 82 they broke up. So this is really at the height of their career during the Breakfast of America tour, in between They're different studio albums. So I mean, I think it was between Crime of the Century and Breakfast of America. So this is just, to me, I love this album. Some of the songs, School, Logical Song, Bloody Well Right, Breakfast in America, You Started Laughing. And then of course Fool's Overture, which is an incredible, I think about a 10 minutes that Roger does on this one. And I love it live. And I know he missed a couple notes on it as well, but I love the fact that it's this spontaneity real. And it's real. And it's just, I love the last side 4 is my go-to side. I'll actually start with side 4, which is maybe weird to some viewers, but anyways, Supertramp, Audiophile, Paris. It's hard to come by. It's a rare one out there. You can pick it up, grab it, and you can buy them in the bargain bin, just the regular Burning Runman ones for like $1 or $2. It's not.
Wow.
These aren't expensive. Yeah, I might be exaggerating a bit, but they're not that expensive.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I saw them several times in concert, and man, I thoroughly enjoyed everything they really ever did. They're different stylistically. They change a bit here and there. And Famous Last Words album, that's the one where the guy's on the tightrope and there's scissors to cut the tightrope.
I think that's the last one where Hodgson was part of the band. I think that was their last album together.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that tour. So they had like a laser beam of that and a holography. And I'm talking, think of when that was. A holography of a guy walking a tightrope coming across the audience.
Oh, cool.
And it was from one end to the other. And halfway through, the scissors cut the line and that holography fell into the crowd. It was just amazing. I was sitting on the side so I could see it, the full breadth of it.
Wow. And I'm going to throw one more up, and I got one other thing we want to chat about. This is an Analogue Productions. I haven't even opened it yet. So, viewers are going to, oh God, Steve, but here it is. Let's have a look. Yeah. Look at that. It's a beauty. Belafonte at the Carnegie Hall. Analogue Productions. Again, I have not opened this, but I think this is going to be an incredible listen to.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
I have not.
I know. Well, nor have I. Clearly, it's not even open. Pretty sad, huh? But viewers out there, if you're looking for ideas, and that's why you guys watch these videos, these are ideas of different albums that are out there.
Absolutely.
There it is.
Yeah, and one last note I'm going to make to anybody who is not bought an Audiophile album or invested in one or kind of said, I don't know. I always say, well, what can you buy relatively inexpensively that is audiophile quality that, you can cut your teeth on just to hear how good something can sound. And this album here, Poco's.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay. These go for about $20. I mean, it just wasn't Legend, it's called, but it has Heart of the Night, Boomerang, Spellbound, Little Darlin'. I mean, it's a great Crazy Love. It's a great album in general.
Here's a fun fact on that. Put the album back up so we can see the full cover. Move it back. So if anyone doesn't know, Phil Hartman, the late Phil Hartman, comedian of Saturday Night Live and movie star fame, designed that album. His brother was the actual manager for Poco as well. So that's the reason why he got that gig.
Ah, really? I forgot about that. You're right.
And he also did a couple of the America albums as well, which his brother was a manager of. So that's how he got his and he actually won a Grammy for that album cover as well. So he was a Grammy winner.
Wow. That's great trivia.
Yeah.
And as long as I've looked at this album, I forgot about it. I remember when it came out, somebody said something, but I just never had thought about it.
Yeah.
But it's a great album, actually, sound-wise.
So wrapping it up here, last but not least, we're both big Beatles fans. We just got the announcement that Beatles Revolver is going to be has been remixed by Giles Martin, going to be it has been half-speed cut by Miles Showell. I had 9 or 10 months ago, I did a video basically saying, when are you guys going to do this? Maybe it'll be a 60th anniversary. Sure enough, they didn't wait till then. At the time, even 9 months ago, when I was doing research, Giles Martin wasn't sure about the technology he was going to use, the software he was going to use to separate the instruments. It was a 4-track recording.
Yeah, 4-track.
I think that would have been the last couple of Beatles
the last one
were 4-track. Would be Rubber Soul and Revolver were 4-track. So he wasn't sure if he had the technology to separate all of the albums out because it was a 4-track. Clearly, he did. I think when I was doing some research, I think he probably used some of Peter Jackson's technology at the time. So I'm curious to see what the technology was used. But again, you go to like Taxman, where you got the vocals on one speaker and all the instruments on the other. I'm excited to see how that's all separated out and how it sounds. I always felt that it needed it. Rubber Soul, I loved it. I'm sorry, Rubber Revolver, I loved it, but it always sounded a little bit muddy to me, especially like the Capitol stereo version. I know this is not going to be the Capitol stereo version. Clearly, it sucked. This is the UK stereo version, a little bit different. So I mean, this is going to be this will be a treat. This will be a pleasure. And then of course, after Revolver, we'll get Rubber Soul. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what he learned on this, he's going to apply to that. Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
sure there's going to be naysayers and everything else because whatever. But I'm excited about the Super Deluxe edition. You know, I'm a sucker for buying this anything Beatles, so I'm going to buy it for sure. I'm excited to see that come out. It's going to be a real treat, that's for sure. And then also too, I know one other Beatles thing. You know, we had the Get Back documentary, and I'm sure you watched that, and you probably have the Let It Be or the Get Back box set that came out, remixed by Giles Martin. But if you listen to the rooftop concert, so there's it's Get Back, the Get Back song Take Two. I want my viewers to focus on one thing, because you hear a lot of things about, oh, Ringo Starr wasn't the best drummer, or whatever people want to say about Ringo Starr. Listen to the rooftop concert, Take Two of Get Back, and for whatever reason, the drums in that take, actually you really hear them, but they're so he basically leads the band in this song, and it's so in rhythm with Paul's bass. It will blow your mind if you just focus on Ringo's drum, and then you'll hear Paul's bass. And it's basically following Ringo's beat the entire time, and it's absolutely perfect. And this is a live recording. He does not miss the entire song. So anyone that thinks that Ringo wasn't the best drummer in the world, or whatever they want to say at the time, no, there's a reason why the Beatles picked this guy up. Listen to that Take Two of Get Back. Incredible.
Well, and there's a difference between complexity and syncopation. You know, right. I mean, I'm a drummer, so yeah, the Beatles songs aren't really totally complex in the drumming aspect. So, no. but syncopation is really critical, you know, and that's what you're talking about there. And those guys were really, I mean, vocally, everything, they were just, you know, together, you know.
When it's funny, because I just listened to the Get Back rooftop concert yesterday. I mean, it just, you listen to it live like that, and it's so perfect. It's so perfect. And these guys, I mean, I remember watching that documentary this winter, and I mean, after that rooftop concert, they ran downstairs, they wanted to listen to the tapes. They're listening to it like, okay, guys, let's go. Let's do it again. Let's record after lunch. I mean, that's how they wanted to go further after this concert. I mean, that's how much they loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. But anyways, Ringo Starr, I mean, yeah, I think that's the reason why he was, the drummer of the Beatles. For if you listen to that, Take Two, and now that I didn't know you were a drummer, so you're gonna have to listen to Take Two. And if I'm wrong, you can call me on it. But I don't think that I am. But you got to. It's just amazing. Paul really follows Ringo's lead on this take for sure.
I have seen Paul comment on the fact that, you know, Ringo being in the background and all, he was never given his due as a drummer. I've
think about this. You're in front of like George Harrison. You're in front of John Lennon. You're in front of Paul McCartney. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So listen to Get Back, Take Two.
Yeah, you got to create your own octopus's garden, I think, at that point.
I love it. Anyways, thank you again. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to your videos. It's going to be wonderful.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks for all your help.
Have a good one.
You guys take care of yourselves.